Hi guys, Matt Lemke here with Through Gamer Goggles. We're at Gen Con 51, that's 2018, and I'm with Stuart Mackaness. I said it right for once, not Mac Madness like I always want to say. And we are, well, going to talk about Wild West Exodus, Dystopian Wars, Uncharted Seas, Planetfall. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything? I think it's everything. Did I miss anything?
Firestorm?
Oh, yeah, Firestorm, Planetfall, same thing.
Pretty much.
Okay. Pretty much. I mean, they're the same universe, aren't they?
They are, but yeah.
They're very different games.
They are.
So let's start with Wild West Exodus. Second edition is thriving.
Yeah, it's going really well. So it came out last September. So this is our first time we've had it at Gen Con where we've had product to sell. It's flying off. People are really getting into it. People are really enjoying it. But obviously it's also the first time that we've come to the American audience where not only do we have Wild West Exodus, but because it's part of that larger dystopian age, that larger dystopian world, people are now starting to get an idea on that. And one of the strengths of having that kind of unified setting is that people who are fans of, I really like the Covenant in Dystopian Wars. It's like, okay, well they're in Wild West Exodus, so we've got this whole thing going on. And conversely, if they're big fans of the Union in Wild West Exodus, well they're going to have whole fleets in Dystopian Wars. And so there's that kind of crossing over between the two settings, which is people are starting to cotton on to. And yeah, it's good to see.
How long is it going to take to convert everything?
Well, Dystopian Wars is being created from new within that setting.
Oh.
So third edition isn't a continuation of second edition, it's a new game. It has a lot of the DNA of the second edition
still
earlier.
D6 mechanic?
Still six-sided dice, yeah, absolutely. And the way it plays is similar. So if you're a fan of the classic Dystopian Wars, we hope you're going to really enjoy the third edition because it'll be a lot about how it plays. It's going to be really familiar to you. It'll play faster, it'll be more brutal, and it'll be more cinematic as well, because one of the things we felt in earlier editions was while some of the game mechanics we thought were really solid and it felt like ships, and there was the positional elements and the fire arcs, and that was really good. There wasn't a great deal. It had some narrative, but it didn't really make a massive difference into the game itself. It wasn't as cinematic as it could be, so we've worked really hard to make sure that scenarios and character is more of a thing in the game going forward for third edition.
Okay. So now, with the installation of Dystopian Wars, are we going to see the Wild West Exodus world expand more towards the East Coast?
No. So, Wild West Exodus is a 35mm skirmish game set in the Badlands of the Union of the Federated States. It's never going to be more than that. Because it is. That doesn't mean that we won't do another Exodus game somewhere else in the world that would use the same rules set.
Like China.
That you could, with the same rule set, that you could then have forces crossing over and playing each other in kind of a tournament or in friendly play. But from a narrative, it's really important because the more elements you bring into Wild West Exodus from outside of the Wild West, the less it feels like the Wild West. Yeah, you start having the French Foreign Legion running around and start having, ninjas and whatever else you want to have going on, shinobi, etc. It's just not going to feel like the Wild West anymore. So we think we've got a really nice setting with Wild West Exodus. We want to make sure that's protected and keep that going. But we're also acknowledging that if you get beyond the borders, beyond America, there's a whole world out there of just as interesting and just
Australia.
Well,
that'd be fun.
We have plans for Australia, yes.
Okay, so what's the next game you're gonna?
So Dystopian Wars is next.
Yeah.
We then have because we've got the Dystopian Age, not all of the games in the Dystopian Age are going to be miniature games necessarily. So we have dice games, we have card games, we have other stuff that will be using the characters and the factions and the setting and the feel, but it will be a different type of game because gamers, there's lots of people that like board games, there's lots of people that like card games and so on. So we want to have things that are in that setting because we think it's rich enough that it can support all sorts of different play styles and fans. And you never know, you might find something that you really like in the card game and really fall in love with a particular faction or a particular character, and then you go, oh, that character exists in this game, I'm going to check that game out, I want to have a look at that. So we're aware that there is going to be, for people that really start to dig the setting, there's going to be a reward for kind of exploring it further and seeing what else is going on. So in terms of our next game, we have Dystopian Wars, but beyond that there are 6 other games in development, some of them miniature games, some of them not, all within that same setting.
Alright, so then Firestorm or Uncharted Seas is going to be after that?
We are developing the Firestorm universe because, again, same as the Dystopian Age. So Firestorm Armada and Firestorm Planetfall are 2 games within that they share a universe.
Right.
We want to make sure that that universe is as interesting as it can possibly be, and then we're going to launch a 3rd edition of Firestorm in that setting, and then we'll launch a new edition of Planetfall in that setting, and those 2 games will be more closely connected to each other than they were.
So you're going to do all new models?
Yes.
Or okay. Wow, that's a big relaunch.
Yeah, well, it's the same with Dystopian Wars. So Dystopian Wars is all new models.
Yeah, that's crazy too.
The old models are available. We're not smashing up the molds and telling people they can't use them. And we're going to make sure that there are rules that people can use all their old stuff in the new games. Of course, we want people to play games. But we think that we've got some of the best sculptors, some of the best production techniques, and we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to showcase all of their talents to the best of their ability. So we want to give them the entire of the Firestorm universe to go crazy on. We're giving them the entirety of the Dystopian Age to go on. The last thing we want to do is to go, yeah, you can have this design aesthetic, but you can't do that because we're going to use this old thing that somebody else designed 5 years ago. I think that puts an unfair restraint on where the designers can go, and actually it stops the aesthetic for the setting being quite as cohesive. You only have to look at the new Prussian stuff we were showcasing today on the stand for the Dystopian Wars. You can see where the frigates, the cruisers, the battleship, not only visually are their silhouettes similar, but you can see technology-wise, you can see where they're all connected to each other, the railway network. Did you see the 2 trains on the back of the... yeah, so there's some really great ideas on.
I'll get pictures of that stuff for you guys too. That'll be on Facebook.
And a lot of it is, we're not pretending that previous versions or previous editions didn't exist. A lot of the visuals and the aesthetics from the 3rd edition of Dystopian Wars have absolutely come from earlier editions of the game, but we're reworking them and kind of almost starting afresh with them, so that if it was a great idea, you might have had a ship that had a really nice little touch in 2nd edition that we like. Well, we're going to make sure that that's applied to the entire faction, so it's kind of a more universal trait that you can fall in love with the entire faction rather than necessarily just one model.
Okay. And you have a target deadline for this, or starting?
So the Dystopian Wars is going to go into open beta, which is towards the end of the summer. It will be an open beta test for the general public. Once the beta test is finished, and that's largely down to the feedback we're going to get from the public, and we develop that, we're then going to have bring the game back into the studio for another month or so to give it a final polish. Then it'll be off to the printers, and you'll see the game, I would imagine, depending on how the beta goes, probably very early next year.
Okay. And then I'm going to guess that Firestorm will be the following year. Same type of thing.
We will have Firestorm going into an open beta fairly quickly. It'll be next year sometime for the open beta for Firestorm. Again, it depends on how the development goes and the feedback goes. Also plastic, so we want plastic miniatures as much as possible, and where appropriate we want to use plastic modelling and things in there. That has a slightly longer lead time than some of the resin stuff, so we want to make sure that we're getting stuff right on those, because ideally we're creating plastic miniatures that are going to be with us for 5-10 years, rather than a resin that you can release, and if it's no good you can replace it a few months later. So there's more we have a responsibility to make sure we get that right.
Okay. And then after that, Uncharted Seas. I'm guessing that's like 2021.
Right, okay, so what we're not doing is, so Warcraft Studios is quite broad, so we have different teams developing different things. Firestorm is already being developed by a different team to Dystopian Wars. The Uncharted Seas is much further on in development than...
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And so...
He likes Uncharted Seas.
So we're not going to... So it's not going to be... So one of the things that was a criticism before was that you'd have... So Dystopian Wars, and then it would be Halo, and so everything else gets forgotten, and then they go on to... So that's not something we're looking to do. I understand how it happens, but it's not something that we're looking to do. We believe we have enough different teams within the studio, we have enough resource in the studio to continue to support all of the games. Yes, absolutely, there will be a point that we say, this is the big release for whatever the game is, and that's the thing that will be the focus and the attention. It's right that each game has its own time in the sun, its own time to kind of... be the be in the spotlight, but that doesn't mean that we then forget all the other games. So yes, when Dystopian Wars launches, we're still going to be releasing stuff for Wild West Exodus, and when Firestorm launches, we're still releasing stuff for Dystopian Wars and Wild West Exodus and whatever else is going on.
Good. So what else you want to add?
Oh, I think I've covered quite a lot so far.
You have. Like what kind of releases are we getting for Wild West towards the end of the year?
We've revealed at the stand, we've shown off all of the posses and things that we've got coming out over the next 5-6 months. So there's all of the factions have got posses, have got releases now for them, so you can jump on board with any one of the factions and really feel like you've got quite a range to choose from. We're now adding to that. There's more terrain coming out. We've just shown off the new saloon, so which is quite a large piece. There's another terrain piece that will be coming out in a couple of months after that, which will connect onto the side of it to make an even larger sort of centerpiece to your table. So yeah, more of that, more. So the game is not. We're not in the beginning of the game now. We're now starting to enter into its kind of into its stride. You've got just a regular pace of releases. You've got 4 to 6 releases every month for the game, and that's not just like that's not single miniatures. Those are boxes of miniatures and things. There's a lot coming out for the game, and we've got 2 years worth of releases planned for the game at that same rate. So there's lots to get excited about in Exodus.
All right. Anything else? No, I didn't think so. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you guys. See you later. I'll do my Three Stooges thing. Bye. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in the link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know, you're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.